Joining us now on SportsCenter, the Hall of Famer and TNT Inside the NBA analyst, Charles Barkley. First of all, Charles, how did it go out there today?
Went very well. I screwed up, I think, 3 times, but overall, I'm very happy with where I'm at and can't wait for the rest of the weekend.
All right, so now we saw last year the birdie on 18 that kept you from being dead last in the tournament. You were 69th out of 70 players. Now this year, there's some action on you making the top 70. I'm not sure you're aware of this. Caesars William Hill has a prop bet that you can make the top 70. There's 89 players this year, so it's a little more difficult. What is your level of confidence after one day that you can make it into the top 70?
Well, I put $100,000 on myself, so I feel very confident.
$100,000 on yourself.
You know, I've been getting better the last couple of years, Stan.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna play really well all 3 days. But I had to take that bet because if I win that bet, I win $500,000. So hey, I was gonna gamble anyway. Might as well gamble on myself.
There you go. 5-to-1 odds. You can't beat that. There's also 7,500-to-1 odds for you to actually win the whole thing. Did you put any money on that?
No, I just bet the one prop bet. I just got to beat the other guys, Stan. And,
yeah.
And I'm going to make a lot more money than the guy who wins this tournament.
Okay. Yeah, when you do it that way, it works out. All right, so now we saw at the match, Aaron Rodgers said he would tell you in Tahoe what his plans were for the upcoming NFL season. We got the $100,000 bet. I'm trying to break some more news here. Has he told you what his plans are?
He's going to wait till tomorrow night at dinner. He didn't want to break the news on the first day here, so he's going to wait for tomorrow night at dinner.
Do you have any inkling?
Well, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic because the ball's really in his court. If he don't go to training camp, I think at some point the Packers will have to make the decision. Whether he's going to sit out the entire season. So I really think it's up to Aaron if he wants to play or not.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the NBA Finals. I'm sure you've been watching. The Suns up 2-0 on the Bucks right now. What has been the difference between those two teams so far from what you've seen?
Well, I think Chris Paul has had more help. All the pressure was on the Suns to win the first 2 games. Now the pressure switched to the Bucks. They've got to win the next 2 games. So before we start throwing the parade, let's remember it's 1st to 4, not 1st to 2.
So we see that, Charles, when a team wins at home, they hold home court, and then they go on the road, and it's a totally different scenario. What happens as a player when you're in a playoff series that changes when you go on the road?
Well, people aren't talking about your mom. They're not talking about your dad. They're not cursing you to death. But also, when that guy looks in the stand and see his family, he gets a burst of energy and juice. The crowd is going wild. You don't ever get tired. And let me tell you something, Stan. I want to say this. All right. Professional sports really suck without fans. So I'm just glad to have all the fans back.
It definitely adds to the atmosphere and the excitement. It makes the events feel big, something I think that was missing last year in the bubble. Let's talk about Chris Paul for a minute. He's on that list of Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, who never won a championship up to this point. You're on that list. But how do you think the perception of Chris Paul's career will be affected if he's able to come through and win a championship with the Suns?
Well, I've always said I think Chris is the best leader we've had in the NBA in probably the last 10 to 15, 16 years. It's really unfair how a team sport, they hold it against a guy because he didn't win the championship. I'm hoping he wins it because he's on the list with me and guys who are already great, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Patrick Ewing, guys who are all-time greats. But like I say, I never understand how a team sport we blame an individual because especially if we blame him, he must be really great because we don't ever say it about the other players on the team. We only say it about the great players.
All right, and we'll be watching. We'll also be watching this weekend to see how you do. Now, I was at the U.S. Open. I talked to Sean Foley on the driving range, and I was asking him about golf, and he said, we think about the swing and everything too much. He said, you got to think about diet, you got to think about sleep, you got to think about breathing. So make sure you get some good sleep, get something good to eat, and take some deep breaths out there and try to secure that $500,000.
Well, I got a really great tip from Bryson DeChambeau the other day. I never drink water or eat when I'm playing golf. And he said he eats a lot. I think he said he eats 3,000 calories and he drinks a ton of water. And I got to tell you something, Stan. I drank more water in the last 2 days than I probably have in the last year because I hate the taste of water. And I'm actually eating during the round, and I actually feel refreshed right now.
All right, Charles, good luck the rest of the weekend. We'll be pulling for you.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Keep up the awesome work.
The great Tim Legler pointed out, what I would challenge him on, however, is what he left out. Yes, they came in with a game plan. They made the necessary adjustments to start game 2. But obviously, if you're Budenholzer, you're going up against Monty Williams and a coach on the floor in CP3, who hit about 50% of his shots, finished with 23 points, 8 assists, even though he turned the ball over 6 times. You see Devin Booker hitting shots early, okay, from three-point range, and assistant coaches are looking to talk to Budenholzer, and Budenholzer's not even listening to them, okay? He's not making any in-game adjustments. That was a pivotal problem as far as I'm concerned. We can look at Drew Holiday and no 7 for 21 shooting. He was absolutely awful offensively. Middleton, he really needs to look in the mirror. When Pat Connaughton has more points than you coming off the bench, he had 14, you had 11, even though you took 6 more shots. That's incredibly problematic. You waste an effort from Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was nothing short of sensational, and primarily because you didn't make the necessary in-game adjustments. It's like any time you throw a monkey wrench into the plan that Budenholzer had coming into it, then he seems to be a bit flummoxed. And I thought that was a problem tonight. They couldn't make the necessary adjustments. And by the way, guys, Tim Legler, me, Scott Van Pelt, none of us mentioned Mikal Bridges. 27 points tonight and 7 rebounds. And he hit about 50% of his shots as well. They probably didn't count on that. That hurt him, but they let Devin Booker get off early, find his rhythm, find his groove. They did very little about that until it really mattered most, and at the end of the day, it cost them.
Well, Bridges is going to have an opportunity to be talked about as he will join us here momentarily off a spectacular performance. And I wonder, Tim, as you hear Stephen A. describe the adjustments that Budenholzer made to start but didn't make here, it's a make-miss league. I mean, I feel like the Bucks played awfully good defense, but they got chasing, and that one sequence we showed on 10 passes, I don't know how they could have been any better.
Yeah, to Stephen A's point, and he's right about this, when they go watch the film tomorrow, if there is one thing that they never really adjusted to was an overcommitment to dribble penetration. You don't need to flood 3-4 guys to the lane on dribble penetration against Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges. You don't. You've got length at the rim with Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's where the Bucks came up small. Too many guys flooding to the paint, and watch how many times in this game you'd have a drive from the right wing and a kick to the left corner because they're floating to the corner off of that penetration.
Right.
Mike Budenholzer actually said it at his end of quarter interview. If there's one thing I saw in the first quarter, I think we're over helping on penetration. They never really adjusted to that.
Right.
This is a team that 16 made threes through 3 quarters, had 4 more in the fourth. That really put the game away with some real daggers when the Bucks made it close.
Stephen A., you and I, we made a mistake a couple of years ago. With this Bucks team, they had a 2-0 series lead on Toronto. And you and I, on this show, we used the term wrap. We were incorrect. I'm not asking you if this is a wrap, but based on what you've seen in these 2 games in Phoenix, what would have to happen for you to believe that something other than the Suns winning 2 more games in this series is going to happen?
Well, Giannis has to get some help offensively from the backcourt, whether it's Drew Holiday or Middleton. Both of them are being paid exorbitant amount of dollars to show up when it counts, and they've been non-existent as far as I'm concerned on the offensive end of the floor. That would be one thing. Another thing is attack DeAndre Ayton. Remember, Dario Saric has torn his ACL, okay? And now tonight, Craig goes down, and he's got an injury as well. They're very thin on their front line. The Milwaukee Bucks are effective on their front line offensively. Attack the interior. Get Ayton out of there and make Phoenix go considerably small. So when you go small as the Milwaukee Bucks, you're still big because you got Giannis at the 5. This, to me, is something that they should be doing, and it's very simple. I'm not going to call it a wrap. We're not going to make the same mistake, SVP, that we made a couple of years ago against Toronto. But I will tell you this. You better win these 2 games, because if you only win 1, I'm not going to disrespect them by assuming they're going to get swept. But if you don't win both of these games in Milwaukee, this series is going to end in 5 right here in Phoenix, and Phoenix is going to capture the championship. Milwaukee's got to go back. They got to win both games. They got to stop worrying about sending out petitions to keep people like me from coming to town. And instead, what they need to do is put forth the petitions against their coach and players and say, rise to the occasion and get it done, because we got a lot on the line here. They've got to play better. They've got to play better defensively, and your guards, who are making a lot of money, in Drew Holiday and Middleton, who both can play the game. They're not scrubs. You got to show up, and Giannis shouldn't have to be on the sideline imploring you to step it up. You should know automatically that's what you're supposed to be doing. It's the damn finals. It's the NBA finals. This ain't a regular season game. It's on the line. They got to show up.
The point that Stephen A. makes about Saric being injured and Craig going out is interesting, because I felt like we heard I felt like both Van Gundy and Jackson pointed out there was a fatigue level that evidenced itself at times with the Suns. Again, they had every answer, but at some point that depth, which was a luxury for this Suns team, is going to become, I don't want to say a weakness, but it's not a luxury anymore. The fatigue does feel like it could be a factor moving forward for the Suns team based on the absence of certainly Saric. We'll wait to find out about Craig.
Yeah, defensively, no question. They're going to be very thin up front. I'm not even sure what their solution is going to be when they have to give DeAndre Ayton a blow now. They're not going to play Kaminsky a lot of minutes, so it's no question. Monty Williams has more buttons to push now as they go forward. The problem is this, though. When you look at the Suns' role players, and you look at a guy like Bridges, who is a role player on this team, has 27 points. The reason that these guys have these kind of nights is because the ball is shared to such an extent that the looks that they get, the quality of the shots that they take, they always stay in their lane, and it just makes guys play with an enormous amount of confidence and comfort zone. They don't have to try to do anything outside of themselves. And Bridges was pretty good tonight putting the ball on the floor, which he normally doesn't do. But it all stems from the fact that their role players are confident because Chris Paul and Devin Booker are controlling the game. Those guys are going to get great opportunities. And right now they're capitalizing, and the Bucks stars are not playing well.
Tim Legler, we'll get more from you a little bit later. Stephen A. Smith, quickly, going to get to Coach Bud. Go ahead quickly, Stephen A.
I just want to chime in with what Tim Legler just pointed out that Phoenix does offensively, Milwaukee's not doing. They're not sharing the basketball. They're not trusting one another. They're not creating a lot of movement without the basketball, which is making it easier for Phoenix to defend them even when they're shorthanded, because you're not challenging them. That's the problem.
Outscored by 33 from three. That's going to be a hard math equation to make up for. You start the day early and you stay up late. First take coming in the morning, Stephen A. As always, the time's appreciated, my friend.
My man. See y'all later.
All right. Stephen A. Smith, Tim Legler. Thanks, Tim. You'll be back in a minute. Coach Bud, with thoughts on falling in this 0-2 hole.
You always give credit to the defense. Those guys, do a good job. And there's probably a few looks that I think that they got to go in. When you're playing against a good defensive team, you get a good, clean one. Drew was getting to the paint a lot. I liked his aggressiveness. So, I think we need all three of those guys. And
felt great. Obviously I'm trying not to make it about me, but felt great. The medical staff cleared me to play. Out there I had my balance. Felt my knee was stable. Did not feel pain, so I felt good.
That play was, how did you know?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I felt good.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I know that you had just told Eric that you had lots of discussions throughout the week, but what was the rehab process? Was it grueling? Was it time consuming? How many hours were you spending a day trying to get that knee ready?
24. From my treatment, from lifting, from getting on the court, pool sessions, keeping my foot elevated, like 24 hours a day. And obviously it wasn't easy, but, I was willing to do it. And I think, the medical staff had a great program for me that I was able to, do what I have to do to stay in shape and at the same time recover and, not have a lot of swelling in my knee. And, I was declared me to play. I felt good. My knee, I feel no pain. The swelling was down, so I was like, okay, good to go.
Lori?
I don't think we believe you about the pain thing, but I wondered if you
Why?
saw, because we know you. But it's okay, I understand. But I wondered if you saw the video of your injury?
No.
No, it makes sense. And then the wrap that you had, did that hinder your range of motion at all? I mean, you were pretty wrapped up on the knee and.
No. I'm trying my best here to, not make it about my knee, but I'm going to say one more time that my knee felt good. Obviously, you when you go and play a game, you never know what's going to happen. A play with Jay Crowder might happen, or the same play that happened that line. You don't know what's going to happen. I'm just happy that I'm out there, and I'm able to, help my teammate in any way possible. And participate in NBA Finals, my first NBA Finals. So I'm just, try to, put my attention in that and not in, if my knee hurts, if I feel, At the end of the day, I'm out there. I feel good. I don't feel pain. I can run, I can jump, I can set screens. I can rebound the ball. I can do stuff. So I'm good. I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm out there. At the end of the day, I haven't watched the clip, but when the play happened, I thought I'm going to be out for a year, So I'm just happy that two games later, I'm back.